How's it going, everybody? This is Pred. I'm getting ready to do a things learned as presented by Mordekaiser, things to not do while you're playing this game. I see a lot of people making very similar mistakes, and I used to make some of these mistakes, but I try to avoid most of them now. So basically, we're just going to run through this video, and I'm going to show you more or less some things, do's and don'ts, mostly don'ts, of how to play this game, things to in general be careful of. And you're probably going to notice a very similar theme between most of them is that you have to be aware of what's going on. That minimap is your friend. If you don't see the enemy champion's face, there is probably something about to happen that is going to be bad for you. So, first rule that we are going to see, as you can see I ulted ignited, he ignited me, but luckily the shield eats most of it. But anyway, the first rule is, especially if you're laning against a tank, tower dives will happen. As you can see, Ezreal has a very low health rather, and I had Ghost ready. So Ghost, Siphon of Destruction. If you are that low, don't sit there. You probably should be leaving. And then once again, we're sitting here, and Ezreal comes up, and we've been taking shots at each other for a little bit. I guess that's going to be kind of a sub not to do. Don't ult Mordekaiser when he's got his shield all the way up. You're probably not going to peel it off. But anyway, so we've been fighting, and I run away because I have low health. Good thing, right? Ezreal should run away, and he should probably heal too, right? Everyone gets back heals. There's no harm done. But that brings us to the next rule. Whenever you are in a lane by yourself and you have low health, and the other part of the lane is empty, you really probably should be careful. As you can see, Ezreal pushes up too far. I have Ghost ready. Immediately shield myself, Ghost out there, Siphon of Destruction, ult him just to make sure he can't get away, and then ignite him because I don't know why I did that, but I ignited him anyway. And there I have a pet Ezreal. This was a little bit of a, this isn't so much of a not to do. I don't really know what happened up there, but Amumu ends up getting himself killed. So vengeance is swift. You really need to be careful. But that does bring me to my next point. Riot has not put any treasure in these bushes. If you have low health, be very careful of them. Don't run into them. As you can see, this Singed ends up realizing, oh wow, this is a bad deal. So Singed ends up dying by Siphon of Destruction again, and good stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and reiterate this point because it's very important, and I see people doing it all the time. Be very careful of bushes. There, Katarina probably should have been teleporting back home immediately, not trying to go back up to defend the tower. And she ends up getting ulted and killed. Remember, Mordekaiser's ult is pretty beastly, and I will do a set it and forget it. I didn't get Ezreal, and I ended up getting chased away by Mundo. But again, our next point, and actually it is very closely tied to his ult. When you have low health, and you're playing a squishy champion like Katarina, shun pulling in is probably not the best of ideas you've had. When you get away, probably coming back in is not one of the best ideas you've had. Because even though you might be able to run away, watch out for the reach out and touch him spells like Mundo's ult. And once again, I got a pet Katarina for that. And I think we end up getting the tower or something like that. But there was no rule for this one, but this one just goes almost to show the effects of what happens. I was fed at this point. And I'm sure that they were yelling at everyone on their team. But really, you should probably try to be more constructive because, especially here, Amumu comes in and stuns, and we end up getting all three of them. So I guess the point there is don't be so damn aggressive, especially if you are, in this case, they were down a couple kills and we were pushing pretty hard. So this one is going to take a little bit of setup, but I want to make sure you can see the entire thing. And this one involves team fighting. This team fight actually wasn't necessarily a bad team fight on either team's part, but I wanted to show it just because it made me feel pretty good, and it made me glad that I was fed and had, you know, the items I needed to survive this. But basically, as you'll see later, team fights can make or break the game later on. You can either turn the tides if you're losing and you win that last team fight and make everyone on their team stay dead for a minute or so, but it can also seal the deal kind of thing. This one wasn't that team fight, but it was still pretty good. And like I said, I'm just showing this setup just because I figured you guys would like to see an entire battle, not just the aftermath of me walking in and killing people. But anyway, so we are going in, they're pushing in mid lane. It's decent. You can see both sides dancing back and forth, but Amumu makes the first move, which he kind of did it when we were far back, but it doesn't matter. But you can see Katarina messed up. Again, ulting. Katarina was down on levels and on gear. Ulting right in the middle of us was probably not a good idea, especially with Gangplank making sure she wasn't going to run out of there. But wait a minute, the team fight is not over yet. We forced him back, but then Singed comes in. He is going in for the kill. Mundo comes in, ulting, and then we end up getting Singed. Gangplank parlays him to death, and then Mundo ends up killing him. Shen trying to ult Mundo to get out of the spot that he is in, but it ends up, he comes back. I ult Ezreal to ult. Remember, damage for the lazy man. I killed them both, and then that was some damage right there. And then, as you can see, I killed Shen, And then Mundo ends up dying because my shield regenerates faster. And like I said, I had a little bit of feeding time at that point. But this kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier. Team fights are very important. They're important throughout, but they're extremely important in the late game. This one is pretty much what sealed it for them. As you can see in the minimap, they still had a decent amount of towers up. This is the team fight that ended them. We get a couple of, I think we got 3 kills there, and then forced them back. And then at this point, I can sit and tank a turret by myself, and that's perfectly fine. But this is one of the biggest things I see people do, and I wish you would not do this. If you're low level, do not push out on a lane by yourself. Remember, the minimap is your friend. The minimap tells you where the enemy champions are. If you don't see the enemy champions, that's probably a bad thing. She probably should have been sitting back and jungling a little bit, and not out there trying to kill us. Or trying to creep. But anyway, like I said, discretion's a better part of valor. When you do see a teammate doing that, and you realize that they are going down, run back. Otherwise, you end up getting yourself killed. And once again, Katarina. This was a poor Katarina, as you can see. Once again, do not go out there by yourself. If you're that low level, stay in the jungle as best you can. Work together. It's going to be a long game. You're going to have to drag it out. But really, I guess to wrap this up, the biggest things that I want to say is, one, if the game's not going your way, there's no problem with that. This game's pretty good about it. It's not really over until it's over. I've had times where we were down to our last 2 towers and they had all theirs up, and I still won because we won a crucial team fight and pushed them all the way back. But not even Mundo's invincible. I died. But the problem, or what I was getting at anyway, was if the game's not going your way, be fully prepared to slow it down. Either stop being so aggressive, let the creep come to you, because remember, they still have to kill your base in order to win. So you don't have to always be pushing, just wait for the right opportunity. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you kind of understand some of the do's and don'ts as presented by Mordekaiser. And this was Pred again, and hopefully you want to see more, but I would like to know if you would like to see more. Let me know. Send me some replays. StarCraft 2's out. I do have it. And so, like I said, send me some replays. I have something coming up soon. I talked with a friend. I'm going to be converting his strategy guide to video. So we look forward to that. It's Shockwave. I'll be putting up his link to the video here shortly. But like I said, hopefully you all enjoyed it. And I will talk to you later. See ya.